morning! This week we are going to learn everything about Gregor Mendel, one of the greatest scientists of all time. If you took a survey of academic people all over the world, he would be listed probably in the top 3. And what he did is made even more amazing by the fact that he figured out some very fundamental principles of genetics before the microscope was even born, which is crazy. So here's a picture of good old Gregor. He was a monk. So back in the day, he had to go into religious types of professions in order to get an education, which he did. He actually got kicked out of college, believe it or not. He failed out because he expressed some of his ideas behind genetics, and at the time they kind of went against religion, so they kicked him out. And then he goes to become the head of a monastery where he will discover everything. Well, not everything, but so much about heredity, all by studying pea plants. He was an avid gardener, so the things and the patterns of inheritance, how our traits get passed on from one generation to the next, we all owe that information to the discovery of pea plants. Like I said, he had no idea about DNA. He had no idea about a cell. He had no idea about chromosomes. He's going to figure out these patterns using math, statistics, and the good old pea plants. The next time that you have peas, like when you're sitting around for Thanksgiving dinner, you're going to look at them a little bit differently now because of good old Gregor Mendel. So this week is going to be all about starting to look at genetics. We're going to look at how we can determine the probability of offspring having a particular trait, especially if it follows a Mendelian pattern. We're going to look at some exceptions to Mendelian patterns of inheritance. And then in the next couple weeks, we're going to get into the real specifics of genetics, looking at DNA technology, chromosomes, and those types of things. So this really is the start of 2 or 3 weeks looking at genetics, one of my very favorite topics in biology. So heading over to Blackboard, kind of same old situation. You've got guided notes, content reading assignment, or content assignment. There is a coin toss genetics lab. So instead of doing a simulation on the computer, you're going to flip some coins. You're going to need a partner and you're going to need 2 coins. So do it with your roommates, do it with your kids, do it with your spouse on date night, however you need to do it. And then another Let's Talk genetic disorder. Last week we talked about chromosomal disorders where there's too many or there's too few chromosomes. This week you're going to look at what happens when you have an autosomal recessive situation, a autosomal dominant situation, disorders in that realm of genetics. So if you have any questions, don't be afraid to ask. There's also an exam. Have a fantastic week.